Hare Krishna, welcome all of you for today's Bhagavad Gita reading session. Let us begin with prayers. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Nitinamine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Reading from Bhagavad Gita as it is by His Divine Grace Abhay Charanaravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Chapter 13 entitled Nature, the Enjoyer and Consciousness. Text 27. Yavat sanjayate kinchit sattvam sthavara jangamam kshetra kshetrajna samyoga tadvidhi bharatarshabha. Synonyms. Yavat, whatever. Sanjayate, takes place. Kinchit, anything. Sattvam, existence. Sthavara, not moving. Jangamam, moving. Kshetra, the body. Kshetrajna, knower of the body. Samyogat, union between. Tad vidhi, you must know it. Bharatarshabha, O chief of the Bharatas. Translation and purport by Vishwaguru Srila Prabhupada. Translation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, O chief of the Bharatas, whatever you see in existence, both moving and unmoving, is only the combination of the field of activities and the knower of the field. Purport. Both material nature and the living entity, which were existing before the creation of the cosmos, are explained in this verse. Whatever is created is but a combination of the living entity and material nature. There are many manifestations, like trees, mountains, and hills, which are not moving, and there are many existences which are moving, and all of them are but combinations of material nature and superior nature, the living entity. Without the touch of the superior nature, the living entity, nothing can grow. Therefore, the relationship between matter and nature is eternally going on, and this combination is effected by the Supreme Lord. Therefore, He is the controller of both the superior and inferior natures. The material nature is created by Him, and the superior nature is placed in this material nature, and thus all these activities and manifestations take place. Text 28. Samam sarveshu bhuteshu tishtantam parameshwaram vinashyatsu avinashyantam yah pashyati sa pashyati. Synonyms. Samam, equally. Sarveshu, in all. Bhuteshu, living entities. Tishthantam, residing. Parameshwaram, the super soul. Vinashyatsu, in the destructible. Avinashyantam, not destroyed. Yaha, anyone. Pashyati, see. Saha, he. Pashyati, actually sees. Translation and purport by Vishwaguru Srila Prabhupada. Translation. One who sees the super soul accompanying the individual soul in all bodies, and who understands that neither the soul nor the super soul is ever destroyed, actually sees. Purport. Anyone who can see three things: the body, the proprietor of the body, or the individual soul, and the friend of the individual soul, combined together by good association, is actually in knowledge. Those who are not associated with the soul's friend are ignorant. They simply see the body. And when the body is destroyed, they think that everything is finished. But actually, it is not so. After the destruction of the body, both the soul and the supersoul exist, and they go on eternally in many various moving and unmoving forms. The Sanskrit word Parameshwaram is sometimes translated as the individual soul because the soul is the master of the body, and after the destruction of the body, he transfers to another form. In that way, he is master. But there are others who interpret this Parameshwaram to be the super soul. In either case, both the super soul and the individual soul continue. They are not destroyed. One who can see in this way can actually see what is happening. Text 29. Samam pashyan hi sarvatra samavasthitamishwaram na hinastyatmana atmanam tato yati param gatim. Synonyms: samam, equally; pashyan, seeing; he, certainly; sarvatra, everywhere; samavasthitam, equally situated; ishwaram, supersoul; na, does not; hinasti, degrade; atmana, by the mind; atmanam, the soul; tataha yati, then reaches; param, the transcendental; gatim, destination. Translation and purport by Vishwaguru Srila Prabhupada. Translation: one who sees the supersoul in every living being and equal everywhere does not degrade himself by his mind. Thus, he approaches the transcendental destination. Purport: the living entity, by accepting his material existence as just so much suffering, can become situated in his spiritual existence. If one understands that the Supreme is situated in his Paramatma manifestation everywhere, that is, if one can see the presence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in every living being, he does not degrade himself, and he therefore gradually advances in the spiritual world. The mind is generally addicted to self centered processes, but when the mind turns to the supersoul, one becomes advanced in spiritual understanding. Text 30. Prakrutyaiva cha karmani kriyamānāni sarvashah yah pashyati tathatmanam akartaram sa pashyati. Synonyms: Prakritya, material nature; eva, certainly; cha, also; karmani, activities; kriyamanani, engaged in performing; sarvashaha, in all respects; yaha, anyone who; pashyati, sees; tatha, also; atmanam, himself; akartaram, non-doer; saha, he; pashyati, sees perfectly. Translation and purport by Vishwaguru Srila Prabhupada. Translation: one who can see that all activities are performed by the body, which is created of material nature, and sees that the self does nothing, actually sees. Purport: this body is made by material nature under the direction of the super soul, and whatever activities are going on in respect to one's body are not his doing. Whatever one is supposed to do, either for happiness or for distress, one is forced to do because of the bodily constitution. The self, however, is outside all these bodily activities. This body is given according to one's past desires. To fulfill desires, one is given the body with which he acts accordingly. Practically speaking, the body is a machine designed by the Supreme Lord to fulfill desires. Because of desires, one is put into difficult circumstances to suffer or to enjoy. This transcendental vision of the living entity, when developed, makes one separate from bodily activities. One who has such a vision is an actual seer. Text 31. यदा भूतपृथग्भावम् एकस्थम् अनुपश्यति तत एव च विस्तारं ब्रह्म सम्पद्यते तदा. Synonyms. Yada, when, bhuta, living entities, prithak bhavam, separated entities, ekastham, situated in one, anupashyati, tries to see through authority, tataha, eva, thereafter, cha, also, vistaram, expanded, brahma, the absolute, sampadyate, attains, tada, at that time. Translation and purport by Vishwaguru Srila Prabhupada. Translation. When a sensible man ceases to see different identities, which are due to different material bodies, he attains to the Brahman conception. Thus, he sees that beings are expanded everywhere. Purport. When one can see that the various bodies of living entities arise due to the different desires of the individual soul and do not actually belong to the soul itself, one actually sees. In the material conception of life, we find someone a demigod, someone a human being, a dog, a cat, etc. This is material vision, not actual vision. This material differentiation is due to a material conception of life. After the destruction of the material body, this spirit soul is one. The spirit soul, due to contact with material nature, gets different types of bodies. When one can see this, he attains spiritual vision, thus being freed from differentiations like man, animal, big, low, etc. One becomes beautified in his consciousness and able to develop Krishna consciousness in his spiritual identity. How he then sees things will be explained in the next verse. Text 32. Anaditva nirgunatvat paramatmayam avyayah sharirasthopi kaunteya na karoti na lipyate. Synonyms. Anaditvat, due to eternity. Nirgunatvat, due to transcendental. Param, beyond material nature. Atma, spirit. Ayam, this. Avyayaha, inexhaustible. Sharirastha api, though dwelling in the body. Kaunteya, O son of Kunti. Na karoti, never does anything. Na lipyate, nor is he entangled. Translation and purport by Vishwaguru Srila Prabhupada. Translation. Those with the vision of eternity can see that the soul is transcendental, eternal, and beyond the modes of nature. Despite contact with material body, O Arjuna, the soul neither does anything nor is entangled. Purport. A living entity appears to be born because of the birth of the material body, but actually the living entity is eternal. He is not born, and in spite of his being situated in a material body, He is transcendental and eternal. Thus, he cannot be destroyed. By nature, he is full of bliss. He does not engage himself in any material activities. Therefore, the activities performed due to his contact with material bodies do not entangle him. Text 33. यथा सर्वगतं सौक्ष्म्यादाकाशं नोपलिप्यते सर्वत्रावस्थितो देहे तथात्मानोपलिप्यते. Synonyms: yatha, as; sarvagatam, all pervading; saukshmat, saukshmyat, due to being subtle; akasham, the sky; na, never; upalipyate, mixes; sarvatra, everywhere; avasthitaha, situated; dehe, in the body; tatha, such; atma, the self; na, never; upalipyate, mixes. Translation and purport by Vishwaguru Srila Prabhupada. Translation: the sky, due to its subtle nature, does not mix with anything, although it is all pervading. Similarly, the soul, situated in Brahman vision, does not mix with the body, though situated in that body. Purport: the air enters into water, mud, stool, and whatever else is there. Still, it does not mix with anything. Similarly, the living entity, even though situated in varieties of bodies, is aloof from them due to his subtle nature. Therefore, it is impossible to see with the material eyes how the living entity is in contact with this body and how he is out of it after the destruction of the body. No one in science can ascertain this. Text 34. Yatha prakashayatyekaha krishnam lokamimam ravihi kshetram kshetri tatha krishnam prakashayati bharata. Synonyms: yatha, as; prakashayati, illuminates; ekaha, one; krishnam, the whole; lokam, universe; imam, this; ravihi, the sun; kshetram, this body; kshetri, the soul; tatha, similarly; krishnam, all; prakashayati, illuminates. Bharata, O son of Bharata. Translation and purport by Vishwaguru Srila Prabhupada. Translation: O son of Bharata, as the sun alone illuminates all this universe, so does the living entity, one within the body, illuminate the entire body by consciousness. Purport: there are various theories regarding consciousness. Here in Bhagavad Gita, the example of the sun and the sunshine is given. As the sun is situated in one place, but is illuminating the whole universe, so a small particle of spirit soul, although situated in the heart of this body, is illuminating the whole body by consciousness. Thus, consciousness is the proof of the presence of the soul, as sunshine or light is the proof of the presence of the sun. When the soul is present in the body, there is consciousness all over the body, and as soon as the soul has passed from the body, there is no more consciousness. This can be easily understood by any intelligent man. Therefore, consciousness is not a production of the combinations of matter. It is the symptom of the living entity. The consciousness of the living entity, although qualitatively one with the supreme consciousness, is not supreme because the consciousness of one particular body does not share that of another body. But the supersoul, which is situated in all bodies as the friend of the individual soul, is conscious of all bodies. That is the difference between supreme consciousness and individual consciousness. Text 35. Kshetra kshetragnayorevam Kshetra kshetragnayorevam antaram jnana chakshusha Bhuta prakriti moksham cha ye viduryanti te param. Synonyms: Kshetra, body. Kshetragnayoho, of the proprietor of the body. Evam, that. Antaram, difference. Jnana chakshusha, by vision of knowledge. Bhuta, living entity. Prakriti, material nature. Moksham, liberation. Cha, also. Ye, one who. Viduhu, knows. Yanti, approaches. Te, they. Param, supreme. Translation and purport by Vishwaguru Srila Prabhupada. Translation: one who knowingly sees this difference between the body and the owner of the body and can understand the process of liberation from this bondage also attains to the supreme goal. Purport: the purport of this 13th chapter is that one should know the distinction between the body, the owner of the body, and the super soul. A faithful person should at first have some good association to hear of God and thus gradually become enlightened. If one accepts a spiritual master, he can learn to distinguish between matter and spirit, and that becomes the stepping stone for further spiritual realization. A spiritual master teaches his students to get free from the material concept of life by various instructions. For instance, in Bhagavad Gita, we find Krishna instructing Arjuna to free him from materialistic considerations. One can understand that this body is matter. It can be analyzed with its 24 elements. That is the gross manifestation. And the subtle manifestation is the mind and psychological effects. And the symptoms of life are the interaction of these features. But over and above this, there is the soul and there is also the super soul. The soul and the super soul are two. This material world is working by the conjunction of the soul and the 24 material elements. One who can see the constitution of the whole material manifestation as this combination of the soul and material elements, and also can see the situation of the Supreme Soul, becomes eligible for transfer to the spiritual world. These things are meant for contemplation and for realization, and one should have a complete understanding of this chapter with the help of the spiritual master. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports to the 13th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita in the matter of nature, the enjoyer, and consciousness. So we have completed the 13th chapter. Now we are beginning with the 14th chapter. Chapter 14, entitled The Three Modes of Material Nature. Text 1. Shri Bhagavanu Vacha Param Bhuyah Pravakshyami Jnananam Jnanamuttamam Yajñatva Munayas Sarve Param Siddhimito Gataha. Synonyms: Shri Bhagavanu Vacha, the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, Param, transcendental, Bhuyaha, again, Pravakshyami, I shall speak, Jnananam, of all knowledge, Jnanam, knowledge, Uttamam, the Supreme, Yat, which, Jnatva, knowing, Munayaha, the sages, Sarve, all, Param, transcendental, Siddhim, perfection, Itaha, from this world. Gataha, attain. Translation and purport by Vishwaguru Srila Prabhupada. Translation. The Blessed Lord said, Again I shall declare to you this supreme wisdom, the best of all knowledge, knowing which all the sages have attained to supreme perfection. Purport. From the 7th chapter to the end of the 12th chapter, Sri Krishna in detail reveals the absolute truth, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, the Lord Himself is further enlightening Arjuna. If one understands this chapter through the process of philosophical speculation, he will come to an understanding of devotional service. In the 13th chapter, it was clearly explained that by humbly developing knowledge, one may possibly be freed from material entanglement. It has also been explained that it is due to association with the modes of nature that the living entity is entangled in this material world. Now, in this chapter, the Supreme Personality explains what those modes of nature are, how they act, how they bind, and how they give liberation. The knowledge explained in this chapter is proclaimed by the Supreme Lord to be superior to the knowledge given so far in other chapters. By understanding this knowledge, various great sages attain perfection and transfer to the spiritual world. The Lord now explains the same knowledge in a better way. This knowledge is far, far superior to all other processes of knowledge thus far explained, and knowing this, many attain perfection. Thus, it is expected that one who understands this 14th chapter will attain perfection. Text 2. Idam jnanamupashritya mama sadharmyamagataha sargepi nopajayante pralaye navyatanti cha. Synonyms. Idam, this, jnanam, knowledge, upashritya, taking shelter of, mama, my, sadharmyam, nature, agataha, attain, sarge api, even in the creation, na, never. Upajayante, comes in, pralaye, in the annihilation, na, nor, vyathanti, disturbed, cha, also. Translation and purport by Vishwaguru Srila Prabhupada. Translation. By becoming fixed in this knowledge, one can attain to this transcendental nature which is like my own nature. Thus established, one is not born at the time of creation, nor disturbed at the time of dissolution. Purport. After acquiring perfect transcendental knowledge, one acquires qualitative equality with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, becoming free from the repetition of birth and death. One does not, however, lose his identity as an individual soul. It is understood from Vedic literature that the liberated souls who have reached the transcendental planets of the spiritual sky always look to the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, being engaged in His transcendental loving service. So, even after liberation, the devotees do not lose their individual identities. Generally, in the material world, whatever knowledge we get is contaminated by the three modes of material nature. But knowledge which is not contaminated by the three modes of material nature is called transcendental knowledge. As soon as one is situated in that transcendental knowledge, he is on the same platform as that of the Supreme Person. Those who have no knowledge of the spiritual sky hold that after being freed from the material activities of the material form, this spiritual identity becomes formless without any variegatedness. However, just as there is material variegatedness in this world, so in the spiritual world there is also variegatedness. Thus, in ignorance of this, those in ignorance of this think that spiritual existence is opposed to material variety. But actually, in the spiritual sky, one attains spiritual form. There are spiritual activities, and the spiritual situation is called devotional life. That atmosphere is said to be uncontaminated, and there one is equal in quality with the Supreme Lord. To obtain such knowledge, one must develop all the spiritual qualities. One who thus develops the spiritual qualities is not affected either by the creation or by the destruction of the material world. We shall continue to read in the next session. I wish all of you a very happy Krishna conscious Navaratri and Dasara. We shall continue to read in the next session. Thank you for joining. Granthara Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Vishwaguru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.